Sorry. I'm just gonna start now because I just saw fucking 2 viewers join in. Which two viewers is more than 0. So yeah, I saw 2 viewers join in, and then instantly leave within like a minute. So maybe having a starting in 10 minutes thing isn't good, and I should just fucking let it start because. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if people join and I'm just in the middle of something, I feel like there is a possibility of retention rather than not. Again, I think a big part of these streams is that it's more for VODs, and I guess making clips. I don't know if I'm ever gonna upload clips on, like, what do you call it? On, like, Instagram or shit like that, but I think, definitely for YouTube, creating clips could be super helpful. I'm currently just gonna be working on the Webtoon. The other project is relatively close to completion. I don't know, yeah, like, the fucking 100 character designs in one sitting thing is cool, but it's kinda, again, like I said last stream, it's just not something that I really want to be doing because I don't think it's that enjoyable, and, I feel like if you're not enjoying work like this, it can really fucking suck. I mean, one of the issues I had, both dually with my computer being fucking... Sorry, with my computer being fucking destroyed. Sorry, it's early, it's like 7 in the morning. Without my computer being destroyed in the past, like in the past few months, because I had to take a break from my Webtoon, already without that, just the burnout was starting to really get to me. And I just feel like with work like this, if you're not enjoying it, like, it can be arguably even more horrendous, than, like, kind of labor-esque work, because there you can at least, like, turn your brain off and get it done, whereas here, there's kind of a continuous, like, with a majority of creative work, I feel like a lot of it is sort of mentally, like, because you're doing a lot of problem solving of, like, okay, how would this look, how would this stylize? Would this character say that? Does this actually flow? Like, a lot of it is... It's surprisingly more work than you would expect, at least more than I expected at first. But yeah, I guess... Let's begin! I'll just... I guess to begin, what I'll do is I'll work on this, like, train. I just sort of have a really shitty, like, I do grid work for a lot of my stuff. So before I actually do the artwork, I'll just kind of have a shitty little, like, basic thing to get an idea of what I want to do. I mean, sometimes it is just as simple as tracing it, rather than doing anything else, but I do feel like with adding, like, details or stuff like that. Some of it as well, just because of my art style, I can be more implicit about the actual thing. Like, for example, I don't think I really need to draw a hand here, because or like, you know, it's like you don't really have to draw much of a hand, where, like, that's literally enough, and then you color it. And because of the framing of the thing, like, of the fucking shot, I feel like it's implicit enough given how I've stylized it. Especially, like, if you look at my completed pictures, it looks fine, but you don't really recognize how shittily done the stylization is. Or not, sorry, that's the wrong way to put it, but, like, how like, not actually detailed it is, right? Like, but yeah, it's something actually that, I mean, you can call it kind of a hot take, but I feel like a lot of people, especially when they're like, oh, you need to use a reference, you need to, like, you know, it needs to be on base. I think a lot of times that's kind of bullshit as long as you can make the actual, like, is what you're drawing, does it look appealing? That's sort of the fundamental thing I think you really should be doing. Because if you've stylized something, or, like, you know, you're deliberately, especially I see this a lot with, like, anime people, like, people who will draw anime art styles, where they try to have something look, like, as realistic as possible, but it just completely obliterates what they've already had, so it's like, why are you even doing this when it doesn't look good? Just because you sort of have, you know, this dedication to needing to do, like, realism, I guess, or, like, needing to have to adhere to that sort of thing, which I don't think really matters too much, but yeah. Also, just with like a fucking like a slide like this, it's like a 2-second thing, right? Like there's the main thing of these in-between shots is just that he's explaining some fucking shit about like, oh, I recognize that guy on the phone, rather than needing to look that extravagant compared to like, yeah, I don't know, like compared to fight scenes or compared to other established like environment kind of shots. I don't know. It's I don't think that should be a hot take. But yeah. My reaction to watching someone join for 3 seconds and then instantly leave. It's a little, you know, like it's a little disheartening. I mean, again, compared to my normal content, I have sort of talked about that I don't really think, I don't think I'm like, or I don't really think I want to do any sort of consistent streaming. I'm just sort of doing this, at least in the past, like I tried it, didn't really enjoy it, and then this I'm doing for a assignment, like for a school thing, because there's, I guess to give context to myself, I'm doing a master's in media and comms degree, and yeah, I know, very snobby as well. It's kind of, I don't know, like it's cool, but there is an inherent like grossness I feel, especially when it comes to a lot of what I've learned, how like in how marketing stuff and a lot of that stuff that you learn in the degree, which I feel is a bit yucky. I feel marketing is literally the art of deception, right? Like that's what you're learning in marketing, at least as someone that has learned a lot of that within my degree, which no shame in that, right? There is sort of a fine line between having something be like appealing and having something just straight up be like deception, but I do think the current way that oh fuck, I just realized that the other character's behind him. The current way that how things are set up, I feel like the societal way marketing is done is sort of more in the realm of deception than it is in the realm of properly articulating what a product is, right? It's more, how do we get this person to look at our shit versus here's a taste test of what you're actually gonna get, which kind of sucks, but I mean it works, so I don't really know. Maybe I'm just like criticizing for no reason. Okay, I also feel like for this shot specifically, what I can do is, because is that the layer? Yeah, that is the layer. Sorry. What I can do for this shot specifically, because another thing here, in terms of like stylization and stuff like that, I don't want to actually draw the other character that's here, so I can just kind of, I mean, like, first, obviously, this now sucks because it fucking is going into that, but I can just sort of draw like a vague outline, and then what I'm gonna do is, also because this character doesn't have line work, I can just draw like the silhouette kind of like that, and then what I'll do is I'll blur it, which is fine because the character's in the background, so you don't even really like notice it. But let me quickly remove that as well. I actually noticed another thing now, because of this window, which I've very kind of deliberately poorly drawn. I mean, it is, again, the whole thing with a shot like this is, it doesn't really matter how detailed it is, but I'm gonna try to get this like that. Delete it, and then put it here. So now what I've kind of done is, I mean, I don't know if I should even be explaining like really basic things, but I guess it can be kind of useful. I think that'll also help with the VOD, because whereas my other VODs have just sort of been rambling, this is rambling that is hopefully slightly educational. I almost wonder, can I change the stream name? Let me quickly see if I can figure that out. Let me do that. Sort of do you call it? Drawing, Webtoon, and poorly teaching. Skillz, no, that's a bit. I'll just say things, that should be fine. I don't really know how Twitch works, but I'm gonna assume that the title has changed, and if not, that's fine as well, it'll be fine for the VOD. Yeah, so I guess now here with this part now, I'll just sort of do Gaussian blur. I don't really know if I want to, like, make the actual character pop out. Because something I've also realized, especially when it comes to, like, background stuff, let me change this fucking Banjo-Kazooie-ass music, is too silly. That's too scary. I just fucking crammed a bunch of video game soundtracks here to have it be sort of nice background noise. But yeah, sometimes because of the contrast of foreground and mid-ground background stuff, you don't really, like, you don't want to make it as saturated. I mean, again, I think with my art style, that is, you know, it's more... It's not as... It sort of has, like, a washed-out kind of look to it, right? That's also too silly. I need to actually go and, like, clean these playlists. Yeah, sorry, to get back to my point. Because of, like, the washed-outness of, kind of the visual style, I feel like, and also because it's, like, multicolored, because even though it is sort of washed out, the like, high... what do you call it? Like, hue? I forgot the term for it. The saturation, that's what it's called. Because of the saturation, with a lot of, like, multicolored stuff, you have to inherently make it kind of, like, really, like, dry. Or sort of, like, not pop out, because you're just gonna otherwise have... It'll look like fucking Cruelty Squad, right? Like, that's... I've sort of had that issue before, where I'll draw something, and then I sort of realize, like, oh, this, like, hurts to look at because of how colorful it is. So yeah, just doing this, this kind of more dry look, I think, is fine. I think also just because of the setting being, like, kind of, deserty. Okay, the title did update, that's good. Because the setting is, like, a desert sort of environment, there is kind of that, how do I describe this? Like, I want to articulate that sort of dryness, and sort of washed out aesthetic. Like, I mean, something that, I think I talked about it in, like, the last episode, or, no, sorry, VOD, restream, whatever, where some guy was, he was criticizing me for, like, stylistic choices, and one of the stylistic choices I want is that I really like the... Like, I like how the font is sort of, like, you know, it's like, it's shriveled, right? I don't know if that's the right term to fucking use. But that was kind of my intent with a lot of, like, how the visual style is. Let's also quickly see the actual... Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I sort of wanted to capture, like, a shriveled art style. That's a very odd way to put it. But, yeah, like, because I've already, like, if you look at my normal art style, I sort of fluctuate between lineless and, like, I try to stylize it very slightly, when it comes to comparing the art, like, the... How do I put this? The way stuff looks, is this correct? I hope this is right. The way stuff looks depending on, like, the reality or location or whatever. So with, like, this location, because it's, like, a big-ass, like, cosmic desert type of thing, I try to stylize it with that in mind, that there is... Everything looks, like, dehydrated, or sort of like it's just been, like, sitting in the sun for too long. Let me also quickly try to understand here, where the fuck is the previous, thing? Okay, there is no previous thing, that's good. Alright, I think what I can do then is that, due to this, what I'll do is, we'll have that, and then, something I've been doing for, like, the gutters, like, the in-between, which also, gutters is such a, This is something I learned at uni when I did a comic book elective. This was for a different degree. Yeah, I know, look at me fucking doing more than one degree. But for like something I learned is that the term for this sort of shit like in between here is gutters, which is a very weird way to put it. I just used to call it like in between panel stuff, but I don't know. I guess if that's the naming convention, I'm not gonna question it too much. There we go. I think that's fine. There's also sort of a level of grime, with this setting, I feel. What the fuck have I done? Is that correct? I need to actually figure out what layer this is on. Is this the same layer as the, like, white? I can just do that, okay. Yeah, but there's sort of like a level of grime as well, to this reality. It's sort of, as I talk about, like I've explained it in my whole world building project, which, really upset not many more people have seen that. I mean, I spent 3 years on the world building project doing like 150, doing like 150 drawings, or 140, 130, I forgot the exact number. But it was way more than I generally know most people to cram into a single year of environmental stuff, and then I had to... The original document was like 10k words per reality. But I had to reduce that to 1k due to Instagram's word limit. But as I sort of explain in this panel here, the reality that this is set in, I also sort of put here, like, the layout of how it is, because there's kind of a repeating grid pattern of how the realities are set up, so you have, like, 15 per thing like that, so, like, that's 15 total, like, 3 by 5, but because of, like, where this reality is set, it's one of those things where it's simultaneously at the junction of the highest and lowest parts of existence. So you've got sort of because the main highest parts. I've actually, I might have to redo this. I realize now, sort of not articulated that. But because of this, these two, while like this is the lowest section and this is the highest section, the only part where there's an entrance is here. So there's still some like bleed over, I feel, tonally, just in how like mentally or weird characters are. But here there's like a straight up kind of like giant hole in the like sky/earth of both of those locations. Because the setting is still Earth, right? It's sort of Earth, ambiguously billions of years, or maybe in the past, kind of in the future, kind of like that Adventure Time kind of thing where you don't really know how far in the future it is, but it's enough that you can kind of get away with doing whatever the fuck you want to a degree, while still having like a bit of still having a bit of that, like, oh, it's been lived in. That's at least with, like, environmental storytelling stuff, which I think is probably one of the most fun stuff when doing any world-building sort of project. It's really upsetting. There's sometimes a really weird thing I've noticed with, at least the Magic Wand tool on Clip Studio, where it will... Oh, actually, I know what I can do to solve that. Wherein it will, like... It'll register like micropixels. I think what I can do is a really cool kind of trick I've noticed is if you do this, you paint bucket tool it and then you reverse the selection. There we go, so we got that. Yeah, but if you paint bucket, reverse the selection, then you've got a perfect copy of the background. There's probably like a much easier way to do that, but I don't know, I've never really figured it out. So now if I do filter and Gaussian blur, not that blur, you can really easily create sort of like this sort of neon glow effect. What I actually might do beforehand is to quickly remove the glass here. Just because I don't think the glass would be glowing the way the character is. Yeah, but there you go. I've just done something that there are much more difficult ways to do like a glowing, but I think that's probably the easiest and fastest way to do it. I mean, something that I was kind of, you know, I don't know, I'm kind of semi-proud of it is when, especially when I was working with a group for a short film in my last degree. God, I sound fucking like borderline like a nepo baby, but I guess in a way I kind of am, if you really think about it, the fact I'm even able to like have an education. But yeah, sorry, enough, sorry about that. Basically, something I learned within that is that apparently I work really fast, which I didn't realize. Like, I think there's people who probably work faster than me. But I don't think that, like, I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of, it's like, oh, wait, really? Oh, like, that's, you know, it's kind of, it's a really nice compliment to kind of have. I guess I'll do another glow here. Something actually weird as well that I guess I'll talk about, in context to what I just mentioned there, in terms of education. I'm also in a really weird position, like I sort of, in the last, I think it actually was the first stream, I talk about being poor, but then I also sort of directly contradicted here with my education sort of thing. I'm in a weird position where because, even though I'm like, financially supported by my family, I don't think I would say I'm like lower middle class rather than like higher or any kind of other financial thing. I don't know if this is a fucking, is it unsafe to talk about this on the internet? I don't think it is. But yeah, I'm in a weird position where I'm in that like sweet spot where I'm not quite rich enough or, you know, like financially well off to be able to relate to people that are, you know, that can, you know, like I can't just be like, okay, I want a console, I'm gonna get it. Like, you know, there's sort of, I mean, I'm currently, for example, I'm currently like overdrawn on my credit card, just from getting groceries alone. Like 90% of my spending is groceries, or public transport. Groceries and public transport are my main spending. But yeah, I'm in a position where I'm not quite well off enough to say that I'm rich, but I'm also not, like, I wouldn't really say I'm poor, right? Like, when I see people that are truly, in, financial distress, I'm kind of like, oh, that's fucked up. I wish I had enough, like, to help. But yeah, so I'm in that position where I can't help other people, because I'm not quite well off enough, but I'm also not poor enough that I'm, like, dying. So it's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, I sometimes notice, like, semi-passive aggression from people who think that I'm somehow, like, rich. But I also will have, you know, it's like I'm not well off enough that, like, people who are sort of extremely snobby and actually financially well off, will sort of still give me a bit of that, I guess, how do I put, they'll give me, like, a bit of attitude, like, right, because they're, I don't know, is it mean to say this? No, it's not, because, like, they're the fucking assholes doing it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who are actually financially well off, will kind of be, like, dicks to you because you're not, right? There's the sort of, like, you know, it's sort of, oh, this peasant doesn't have enough to afford fucking designer shoes that are made with shitty quality by my fucking, I don't know, like, exploitation in Uganda or whatever, right? Like, there's sort of that weird sweet spot that I feel, I would hope a majority of people, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I feel like there's that weird sweet spot of where you're not quite rich but not quite poor, so you get shit from people above and below, which, I don't know, it kinda, it just sucks. But again, I don't think, it doesn't suck enough for it to actually be a problem, outside of that thing, right? Because it's still, I feel like if you're able to get groceries, you have a house, or not a house, sorry, you have a roof over your head, because I don't have a house, I'm just renting. I feel like if you have a roof over your head, you can afford food. I feel like you shouldn't really be complaining about, like, your finances. But, I don't know, it's just me, I guess. Also, what the fuck? I'm trying to think of a way to parody, like, Facebook for this. I feel like I already did, like, I did the screw you for the fucking YouTube one. But I don't know. What if I wrote, like, if I just really shittily write that? Because this is sort of a, you know, it's like a small, it's a small background thing. I think that works. That works as a fucking, that works as an asset. And then, because I guess again with these sort of smaller backgrounds, it doesn't really matter what you're gonna be fucking putting here. Like, no, I don't think many people are gonna be zooming in into this section, and then being like, you know, like, oh shit, wait, what does that say? Wait, hold on. Something also I've noticed. I don't know if this is actually like detectable. How do I fucking articulate this? I don't know if this is noticeable, to people, like, watching or listening, but, like, I'm currently, what I'm doing is I'm turning my head from, like... Sorry, I had to drink water there. I'm currently, like, looking over every few seconds and then looking back at the Twitch thing because it's on the other monitor that I have since like 2015, which this is something really like great. I feel if you ever like upgrade any of your gear, like don't or do sell it if you think you would be better off with it, I think, but I think you can also just keep it for utilization. So like I have a shitty monitor that is just is good to like, you know, it's good to watch shit or have something on the side while I like draw stuff. So yeah, just I keep looking over from looking at my screen, and I don't know if that is affecting the actual audio quality. But there you go, I guess. Something I'm also I'm currently trying to think of is should I make like 1,000 fucking, is this the right layer? Am I fucking stupid? Yeah, I guess this is the right layer, but why does that go over that? That's weird. Okay, wait, hold on, let me check. So what is in this? It's literally just that. That's weird. One of the problems with not really having two organized layer, what do you call it? Layer organizational skills. I mean, like you can't really see it here because it's hidden deliberately because it's shit. But what I'll do is I'll have one layer dedicated to like a section of a scene, and that's sort of enough. But I will, as you can see, just kind of add as much as I want. It's sort of like painting. That's sort of a way that I rationalize doing layers. And I don't think it's that much of a problem, right? Like, if you're uniform with it enough that, you know, all lines on one, flats on one, and then you add as much as you want, everything in between, that you just sandwich above and below those things. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's enough. You don't really need to, I don't know. I don't know what the normal layering convention is. Maybe I'm just nitpicking here something that doesn't exist. Because that actually is now, to like sort of bring into a different really weird point I've noticed. I've noticed people will do that. They'll just nitpick like, or like I've seen kind of complaints about people that like just don't exist, right? Like it's a hyperbolic depiction of people that I see you'll get mad at. So like, I don't actually have an example. I can't think of one right now. But it's the idea of getting outraged at a more hyperbolic thing that actually exists. So like, you know, people will kind of be shitty, but there's like a minority of people that actually will complain about a certain thing. I guess to think about video games, I don't think that many people, like, they're quite loud, don't get me wrong, But I don't think that many people really give a shit about, like, woke stuff in their games, right? Like, if you look at... Like, games are sold to, like... You know, like, big AAA games will have, like, fucking... In the, like, over 10 million, like, 10 million copies. And then you'll see people, you know, you'll have, like, maybe 10k people complaining about woke shit, which... It's a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but the actual buying power I don't think is that extreme. And then there's kind of that issue of like, yeah, like, it's sort of... That's such a small minority of people, yet it's sort of articulated as, being a big problem, I guess. I don't know how to properly articulate this, but yeah, I guess it is just that idea of, getting mad at people that don't really exist, or like that are so like not that much of an issue, I don't think. I also just realized, what the fuck have I done to this layer? No, there we go. Okay, so it's like there. Well, there sort of goes, I guess, me talking about shitty layer organization not being that bad and instantly not figuring out where layer is. Yes, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is undo on this layer, and then kind of repeating that similar process of the other one where you just invert the thing. So what I can do now is... this sort of... I guess I'll pick something like that. I don't know, I recently, along, as I sort of mentioned, as I had lost, like, my entire fucking, like, computer, I've lost a lot of, like, the brushes that I had, but I think it's fine, like, it's not that shit. It's not that bad, right? Like, it's a little ass because of how Clip Studio is, if a lot of you know how, inserting layers and stuff can be kind of a fucking semi-nightmare. It's really, like, you can't, like, mass import, you have to sort of, like, manually do shit, which can be super annoying. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. At least not in terms of my Clip Studio. Maybe it's the end of the world in a bigger context for Western civilization, but that's, I don't know. I guess sort of with my aforementioned in the last VOD, I talk about there's no fucking phone going off. I talk about the rationalization of the post-punk aesthetic and narrative style, where the whole idea is to kind of describe what comes after, like, after shit's, like, already hit the fan. I don't know, I feel like there's still not, how do I describe this? I feel like, I don't know what the fuck how the fuck to say this. Hold on, I'm kind of also, like, simultaneously figuring out, how to draw this for here. But yeah, to get back to the post-punk thing, I feel like what I'm doing with the webtoon, I'm not answering too many questions, right? There's a lot of it, with the main character is simultaneously things I do and don't agree with, and sort of hyperbolic, because it's a bit of a... Something I wanted to do with the main character, is, like, or I guess both the main characters, that they're kind of, like, hyperbolic, worldviews that I feel like are kind of common, right? Like, you have sort of you have, like, okay, like, everything is meaningless, but they're still kind of operating out of almost, like, pure spite, if that makes sense. Whereas the other main character, is kind of, like, has no fucking clue what's happening, and is almost, like, naive to a fault, and believing in, like, I guess this does sort of, the duality of this does sort of reflect my own, worldview of simultaneously wanting to believe like in the inherent good of everyone, but also sort of recognizing literally everything terrible that has ever happened has been people. So there's kind of, you know, it's sort of that, yeah, it's like that, the duality of that, which I want to sort of explore and explain more with my webtoon. But a big problem has been, it's been establishing stuff and experimenting with how I'm gonna do it, right? So, the first 2 fights that we've had, right, because we only really had 2 fights, we had, sort of Judge Hold'em spoof archetype, right, sort of the, blind, divine, I don't know if divine, but like sort of blind, judgmental lawman archetype, and then we sort of had a similarly blind, but more sort of like the, wounded, like, abusive archetype, if that, I don't know how to, like, articulate that, but yeah, it sort of, had angry lawman and similar angry lawman, but more kind of, I guess sort of animalistic, whereas the first one was more of a kind of parody of sort of people that kind of blindly like, no, these are the rules. It doesn't matter if we're like hurting or killing people. We need to follow the rules always. Whereas the second one was just sort of tunnel vision of like, I mean, I even joke about it in the previous episode, which had zero fighting, where one of the characters is sort of like, hey, did I just catch you being happy? Right, where it's sort of that parody of people that are so unhappy that when they see other people happy, there's almost like this knee-jerk envy reaction of needing to hurt them. So yeah, those are sort of, I guess, the 2 ideas that I feel I've explored with the first 2 fight scenes, but I want to actually, I think the main thing I want to do is sort of move towards, we sort of see this in like, I guess, Eastern, like, shonen type works where it's like 4D chess, which I haven't really had the chance to do, right? It's been like basically 1 to 2 moves and the fights are over with the current fight scenes, whereas you look at like shonen fight scenes, that shit, at least when you look at, I guess, anime adaptations, you'll have like 30 or like 90 minutes dedicated to a fight scene, just where it's sort of like, yeah, it's like it's 4D chess, right? It's sort of the idea of looking at how, like, beat by beat, like, outsmarting your opponent kind of thing, which, it's less fun and it's more, I mean, sorry, it's more fun than the aforementioned, 1 to 2 fight scenes, but while still having that symbolism of what I was already doing. So, yeah, I guess it's just that sort of slow, gradual experimentation of stuff that, I gotta slowly get better with. I mean, it is, you know, it's only 5 episodes, I think, that we currently have. What the fuck is that? What's that? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I only really have 5 episodes, at the moment, so, and they're not, the thing is, they are long for, indie webtoons, I do know that, like, normal indie webtoons are way shorter, but from a perspective of what I actually want to do with the narrative, it's like so little ground has been covered, right? Like it's, if we look at what has actually been achieved so far, we've seen the main character fight like 2 asshole characters. They went to a bar to eat an HSP. And that's been it, right? Like that's narratively, that is all that has happened so far. And I guess they went to bed. There's like I mean, there's a bit more obviously with like backstory and stuff, but like it's still not at a point where I feel like I've done enough with it that I'm comfortable with, which, you know, I guess that is sort of part of the trial and error learning experience of any creative process. Which I think, you know, it's fine. It's part of, if you're like out the gate already know what you're doing and you already have like everything perfectly figured out, like you're not gonna, I feel like it's not as enjoyable, at least I don't think it would be. Did I also, Okay, no, I didn't. Sometimes I'll make the mistake where I'll, because I'm doing this in 2 layers, why isn't that working? Where I'll kind of, oh, I see why that's not working. Where I'll accidentally copy the same layer twice. At least, I don't know how often other people do that. Also, I seem to have now lost the background there. But yeah, there you go. I don't know. I feel like that's probably fine as well when I make little mistakes like that. Also, why is this? I just realized something. This is like, it's sort of like green. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Alright, fucking goofy ass Banjo-Kazooie music, get out of here. Oh god, it's doing this. YouTube music, because I'm not using YouTube music, sorry. Fucking YouTube playlists will sometimes do this thing where you put it on shuffle and it will just repeat the same sequence of like 5 songs for some reason. Oh, excuse me. Again, it is early in the morning. I don't often stream as well, so just having to speak continuously for this much is a little bit of a challenge, but that's fine. So something here that, if you notice, those 2 colors are really similar, and there's almost a part of when you, especially when you zoom out here, for example, there's almost like a visual noise blurriness. So in order to fix this, I'm gonna be putting in like a contrasting color to that. Even just having it be like slightly like that, I think, is enough. Again, I'm gonna be probably like tuning down the actual. I just realized it was the same layer. Good thing I did that. I'll be tuning down the actual color to also not contrast with this. And because the actual environment of this setting is not as, like, it's not as intense. There we go, I almost thought I lost the grid work, which would have been super upsetting. But something that, again, I also think you should be doing, I don't know why I said again though, I never mentioned this, it's just something that I subconsciously think about quite often, is that you should always have a backup of any kind. So what I do is, this is probably a really fucking like a jank bootleg-ass way to do it, but what I do is I like grab everything in the folder, I'll grab like however many it is, and then I use Discord and I just fucking upload. Yeah, like I just upload it onto a, like private server that has 0 people on it. So Discord basically acts as like a cloud. One of the issues is if you don't have Nitro and within Discord's actual upload limit, so you can only upload 10, you can only upload like 10 files at a time, but then what you can do is, you can just fucking send, I don't know if I should have, whatever, gives a fuck. You can only send like 2 at a time, not 2, 2 batches of under 10 files at a time, which is fine. I don't think that's too bad. But yeah, that's something you gotta fucking do. I also feel like now that because I have been, like, essentially explaining and talking shit for, like, nearly 50 minutes, I might want to take a break. I am noticing, or maybe if not a break, even just full-on stopping. I am noticing, though, that, as this is, like, the 3rd stream, in succession, it is actually weirdly getting easier to do things. I do still think, in terms of articulation, that's something I've noticed I've gotten better at, and also just, like, not rambling about kind of nothing, right? Because I feel like I've covered a relatively decent amount of ground in how to, like, do shit. Here, for example, because a lot of this is gonna be Gaussian blur, because it's anyways just, like, in the background, in a moving object, right? Because this is a train, because I don't think I've explained the context of that. I'm gonna just skip this fucking track. Because it is in the background and it's moving, it doesn't really, like, you can get away with making this, like, kind of blurry and, like, not that detailed. Did I put this on? Yes, I did. Okay, so, again, another thing here. Just do another layer. But yeah, that's, I guess I'll call it here. I guess thank you, for the few people that tuned in and then left and will probably never hear this, and
Thank you for the people watching this in the VOD format, because I assume that's how most people are gonna watch this, right? I think what's gonna happen is this is not outro music as well. I just skipped to the next fucking song. I guess, wait, let me just click on a random fucking, just shuffle it. Yeah, I guess thank you for those listening in the VOD, and I hope you learned something. That's about it, I guess. Goodbye for now, and yeah.